What an online event. What an online event. I think the excitement of this event was, I wouldn't say more than if we were physically here together, but it was very, very exciting. And it is still, it's about half of it. And I'm very excited to be here with you and to share with you how we can all go past the it's complicated relationship we're having with the present, hopefully in the future. Because right now, the future is not necessarily as exciting as I wish and as I thought back in 2019 that the year 2020 would be. We had the COVID, we're expecting a recession, but even more, we are, if we don't do it properly, at the risk of a huge impact of climate change. So we went from there in 2019, to unfortunately big questioning. And for real, we don't know what the future holds. But before getting started, I would love to get to know you a little bit. So, j'espère qu'il y a des gens en ligne avec nous aujourd'hui. Well, I hope so. So I would love to know a little bit more about you. Who here is a student? Who is a geek? And is there any young graduates or even employees who are among us? And above all, who here is an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur? Feel free to comment in the chat. And what about me? This is mini-me when I was still young and naive at that time. Today, since then, I've contributed and worked in the ecosystem in a variety of fields, and especially, and I would like, you know how we end up having so many souvenirs of our actions, and you know, we kind of like carry them with time. So here I have one of our hackathons, you know, Keep Calm and Hackathon. AI for Good, that's a huge, important part of our society today. And I hope that many, many people here in the room are excited by how AI can have a positive impact in our society. Of course, Experience the Hustle is part of Startup Open House that was having many, many startups opening their houses for the whole community to come. And I won't have all the t-shirts here, otherwise we'll be here for an hour. This is one of the startups that I had the opportunity to work on, and it's State 22 in the hospitality industry. And as you can imagine, the hospitality industry is not an easy one today. And finally, Montreal NewTech, that you can see on the screen, a nonprofit that I had the opportunity to work on. And still, and finally, Coopératon, an open innovation challenge for social impact. But above all, it's all about getting shit done. So how can we do that together and hopefully be part of building the future? Oh yeah, that's my time off, because it's always very, very important to keep some time off for yourself. So enchanté. So yeah, go back to WTF 2020. Right now, I'm in front of you, and honestly, like, it doesn't seem very easy. It's bleak. We don't know where are we going with that. But on the other side, it's definitely a blank slate, tabula rasa. So yes, the future is bleak, but in singularity lies opportunity. And that opportunity, I would love to share it with you today, specifically, and just to get started, for people who are worried about jobs, there are many, many jobs available. Just here in Montreal, because I'm based here in Montreal, those are the companies who are hiring like crazy because they are growing. And because Montreal is this big hub of AI, but anywhere in the world and anywhere in Canada, there are industries that are growing, even though some are shrinking. But the focus usually of our society and media, etc., is about the challenges. But many, many are growing. And yes, Canada is AI. So let's talk about AI. AI first, you know, like all those buzzwords, I can give you so many buzzwords, and we can keep going with those buzzwords for people who are really into tech. You know what I mean. But what I mean by AI is really all-inclusive. And what I mean by all-inclusive is definitely not going in these kind of beautiful sceneries, but it's about our ecosystem. And what I mean by our ecosystem, it's about our startup ecosystem, because it takes a village. It takes a village to raise an entrepreneur. It takes a village to move you from being an aspiring entrepreneur to a successful one. And what I'm going to tell you today, in a simple word, is that the best way to predict the future is to build it. And we're very lucky that over the last 10 years, even though we are in the middle of a pandemic, and in 2008, we were in the middle of a crisis, and the climate change is coming up on us, and it's maybe even worse because it will be if we don't do anything about it. But the beauty of it in the meantime is we are lucky that this startup ecosystem, this innovation ecosystem, has been built over decades. And today I'm very, very privileged, and I feel that I'm privileged, and we are all to be in Canada, to be honest. But we are at a level of maturity of our ecosystem, and I won't dive too much into this, but this is just in Montreal. We have financing resources, we have support organizations, the media, events, accelerators, incubators, so many support ecosystem that I definitely invite you to have a look at. And if you're thinking about building the future, I definitely invite you, in this little timeline that you can see under the screen, from community building to pre-incubating your idea, to incubating it, accelerating it, and investments. And at any step, there are support organizations to help you out. There are a bunch here on the screen, and I won't name them all, but I will give you 2 examples that I have the privilege and the chance to work within. Montreal NewTech and the Cooperathon site. Throughout the discussion, throughout the presentation, I'll try to give you few examples because I hate presentations that are just about theory. It gets boring quickly. So hopefully, you'll see that we have a booming ecosystem. And indeed, the best way to to predict the future is to build it. But what do they say exactly about startups, and especially today? You know, the go to the edge of a cliff and jump off, building your wings on your way down, and hopefully to lift up. And that's a challenge. Indeed, that's a challenge. And how can we build it successfully? How can we create that space successfully? And we're all working, us, in the support organizations, whether through Cooperathon or through Montreal NewTech, but throughout our ecosystem. It's really about creating that space to be able to create meaningful projects that are sustainable. And for that to happen, we need to create a space where you can have a long-term impactful vision, where you have the freedom to try, and where you can fail, learn, try again, sometimes fail a couple of times before succeeding. But it's all about learning and growing throughout this journey. So like what? I'll give you simple examples of friends, colleagues, who actually went through this journey. And I'll use this example of a friend of mine with whom I worked with. And we organized this big data competition. And we had the opportunity to work together through a couple years, working in data innovation. And recently, a bunch of friends, decided that enough was enough about the delivery system that is currently taking advantage, in a way, of restaurants and delivery people with crazy rates, percentages. I won't name the name, but you probably know the company I'm talking about. And this Radish cooperative had the idea of having a startup built on a cooperative model, having all the IP within the startup, within the cooperative, and all the data within the cooperative. And the members of this cooperative are both the restaurants, the delivery people, and the employees of the cooperative, and the customers. And those are like simple examples of someone who was an employee who decided to jump off that cliff. And they are today building their wings on their way down, but on their way up, I would say. Because they're building this organization here within Canada with a great support ecosystem. But even more so, the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, made them accelerate their process, their launch. And thanks to the CBC article, it's going way faster than expected. This is just one simple example of an entrepreneur who became entrepreneur, lived up to their values, and try to move forward. So how can you do that, you who's like behind your screen today? So I'll give you those 2 examples because I can't give so many, but feel free afterwards to reach out if you have any question or if you want to know a bit more of the how that either me or some of the organizations I know or I'm part of can help you out. Comes in Cooperathon. So the Cooperathon is a competition, but it's specifically a program, an open innovation challenge to bring innovative products to be more ambitious for social impact at their core. And I think it has never been more true than today, in the middle of a pandemic, that we need to consider, not only to consider, to embrace, to aim for, to ask for, to impose social impact at the core of any sustainable business model that starts from now on. I'm very lucky to be part of the Cooperathon team over the last 5 years. And what we do, basically, is we realize, that's Chris Hadfield, that was at our launch last year, we are not passengers of this planet, we are crew. And it's the realization that we're all crew in this, and we can all build something that has this tangible social impact. But for that, we need to go back to the points I told you, to create the space and time where you can find the right people to join your team, where you can be safe to have this kind of like long-term vision, where you can be safe to try and fail and have the support around you so that you succeed faster than on your own. And that's what we've been trying to build over the last 5 years. If you see some numbers there, I know it's not super clear, but last year we had 2,000 participants, about 200 projects throughout Canada. It's very simple. It's inspired by the Google Design Sprint, and we've been iterating on it over the last couple of years, of course. So it's a lot about building the teams first, because you can have the best idea. If you don't have the talent, you can't build much. You can have the best ambitious social impact idea. If you don't have the means to deliver on it, you'll stay at zero, you know? Like that's an axis. So then it's understanding the problem or understanding the challenge. And we're very lucky to have large organizations such as Hydro-Québec, and CanMed, the federal government, and many, many other, Palais des Congrès and many others that I cannot unfortunately name them all today, who are part of it, because at the beginning, they join you on your journey and they can give you a challenge that has social impact within it, but there are also potential clients that want to work hand in hand with you so that in the design, in the build, and in the pitch section, you can actually have a partner beyond than just a client. And that helps for commercialization, trust me. If you have on your CV or your resume a Desjardins, a Hydro-Québec, or we were talking about Palais des Congrès as well, where I think this event was supposed to happen. But hopefully next year it will happen at Palais des Congrès. But imagine if Palais des Congrès is your first client. That's pretty cool. Those are a few examples of pictures. More numbers, a lot of money in prizes, of course. But it's not about the prizes, and I definitely hope that you're not doing that for the prizes. The reality, and the same way we are today online to share this campus party with you, the spirit of campus party, the appetite and the call for arms, but rather the call for ideas to have a positive impact. The Cooperathon this year is 100% online as well, and it has a platform to help you find your teammates and move forward in your projects. Those are like few people. If you want to join, you can do that. The reason why I'm talking about this, it's not about promoting any specific program, but it's about explaining that there is a continuity needed to make people successful. And to be able to be successful, you need that not only the right idea, the right team, but also the right support, and ideally the fastest commercialization possible. And throughout the work with Cooperathon, we came to the realization that to land this baby and those projects, we needed more work after the Cooperathon itself. So in this case, we built Startup in Residence program and the Foundry program to help move those entrepreneurs forward and incubate them within, in this case, Desjardins. I'll give you, if we can, get a little video, because what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
That all men are created equal.
The only way to take on the challenges of today and tomorrow is by bringing together the strengths of our talents. Environmental degradation, society's health problems, and social injustice are all challenges that we can collectively overcome.
C'est beaucoup plus qu'une compétition. Le Cooperathon, ce que c'est, là, c'est un engagement qu'on prend de travailler sur une cause qui est plus grande que chacune de nos personnes.
We are connected, now more than ever before. Never in history have we had access to this amount of knowledge. The ideas that will emerge today will have a concrete impact on our future. The Cooperathon is an opportunity to accelerate change.
Now, that being said, I could talk all and on and tell you how awesome those kind of stuff are. I can tell you theory about innovation, startups, open innovation, social impact, and other. But what I should be doing, and I hope that it will give you a little idea, is to give you examples. Because there is no such thing as ideas without action. And ideas without action, unfortunately, they are a dime a dozen. So very happy to see that part of the Cooperathon alumni are, for example, Carboscope. I could dive a little bit deeper into it, but it's basically allowing companies to measure, understand, and track their carbon footprint, which is just the beginning of it. But it's in the idea of tackling climate change. And what I love about Carboscope is that they are an amazing team, one. But second, more recently, there is a startup that launched in the same spirit. I won't dive too much into it. Novisto as well. It's around ESG data analytics platform. It's a great startup as well, launched by Diagram Ventures. That's another subject. But it's really interesting startup that I would invite you to have a look. Both of them, I definitely invite you to have a look. Oxia is looking for partners as well still today. But that gives you validation. If you have an idea, and you see that there is a startup existing. The reason why I put those two examples together, not to say that there is competition and one is harder or going to beat another or whatever. No, that's market validation. And when I see that in 2020, a company supported by Power Corporation is around the next generation ESG data analytics platform, who's hiring too, by the way, that shows me that there is a real market there and that climate change and ESGs in general, the environment and sustainability and governance in companies is not only a crucial impact of our society today in 2020, but it's definitely a lucrative market for the next 10 years. So if you're thinking that social impact sometimes is left for the people who are on the left, and not something that should be tackled because there is no business in it, then you're wrong. There is definitely business, and I do believe very strongly that the most impactful companies for the next 10 years will include climate change issues and social impact at their core, but not only that from a social good perspective, but from a business perspective as well, because there is a huge market there. And unfortunately, humanity is reaching a point where it will have no choice but to face the music of the social impact and the negative one that we've been doing over the last couple centuries through the industrialization, and see that as a real business opportunity as well, not only for doing good, but also making money. And that's, in a way, the reality of today, where both come together out of necessity. I wish we had done it before, but today is 2020, and we're looking at the future over the next 10 years. There are many other projects. I don't want to dive into too many of them, but you can see some are using mushrooms to replace plastic. Some are using a way for plaque composition, influencing the behavior around energy, etc. Cannafish is using the detritus to feed fish. Dis-moi is helping around mental health and against bullying, Think Twice, and others. There are many others. Now, my other little hat, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, because you don't necessarily know where to start now, because the other one is in September. And today, as you saw through Campus Party, there is a call for idea. So I would definitely invite you to give your idea, even if it's a bad idea. Ask your question. If you are here online and watching us, feel free to ask your question. Feel free to go and give your idea, because trust me, there is no bad idea in life. There is only bad execution. And the reality is that there will be bad executions. And I couldn't dive too much into all those t-shirts that I showed you earlier, because I have a lot of failures in my life. But I'm here today to share with you that, one, there are opportunities and there is a support ecosystem that I fail and I'm still alive, so that's not a bad thing. And I'm doing fine, thank you very much. And we are learning from that so that you fail less. You fail, you learn, but hopefully you fail less in that and you can advance faster. And for that, we have a support ecosystem. Montreal NewTech is one of them. It's a nonprofit that has been around for about 10 years. If you are interested in startups, it's definitely a good spot to start. We've been doing a lot of things, and I'm not going because of the time constraints, but specifically, we really care about inclusive and engaging culture. You can see it in our team. transparency and close collaboration with partners. You can see in one of our events that we just ran 2 days ago on July 8th. And of course, trust building and bond strengthening relationships, especially in this time of COVID. Because we had to start going online and going abroad. And that was an amazing opportunity to reinforce the bonds that we have. We have a whole program. I won't dive into it because of time constraint, and I would love to have a few of your questions. This is the Creative Collision that we ran just 2 days ago, where we tackled 4 specific verticals, bringing researchers, entrepreneurs, and enterprises between the Montreal NewTech, Coopératon, the super clusters from British Columbia, Ontario, and Quebec, and a whole bunch of organizations, about 40, supporting environment and climate change, Industry 4.0, entertainment and tourism and culture, and last but not least, healthcare and life science. If you were interested in those 4 subjects, that was the place to be 2 days ago. If you're still interested in those subjects, stay with us because there are other speakers coming up tomorrow that are just tackling some of those issues. And if you want to pass into action, of course, there is a lot of things to do. We're working on many, many things. This is a glimpse on our team, multicolored, multi-gendered, and very, very proud of all of them. And of course, if you're interested to learn more, feel free to reach out. But if you're looking for support, if you're not sure where to start, please reach out. You have to reach out to ask for help. There is no bad question, just sometimes bad answer. But feel free to reach out to those players because we are here to help you, and there are many, many others. I just gave you 2 examples because I cannot dive into everything, but we are lucky to live in Canada. And trust me, I came from Morocco about 12, 13 years ago. Morocco now is doing way better, by the way. But we still need more help to support the people who are aspiring to launch companies, who are inspiring to be innovative, who are inspiring to actually make a dent in this universe, you know? Cheers to the crazy ones. And we're lucky to be here in Canada. There are a lot of resources like that. But the reality is that like nothing easy ever changes a damn thing. Success is always more complicated than we thought. And third, there are antibodies. And the reason why I love this slide, because it's real. Throughout your journey, it's not always your fault. Don't always blame others, that's for sure. But you will find on your way to hopefully success difficulties, complexities, and antibodies. Whether you're in a company and you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you'll find people who are there to keep the status quo going. Whether you're an entrepreneur trying to do something in our society, you'll find people on your way. And people who will tell you like you can't do it. And I know for many, many people, this is something that you've heard, but you will find them. They will tell you you're crazy or whatever. But the reality is humans and prediction, we suck. This slide, I love it. It's part of Wikipedia. Just have a look at the Go and the AI that beat them. You see in 1 year only, the champion in Go realized that I kind of felt powerless in front of the AI. And along the way, he tried to make prediction. And that's a professional. So my recommendation for you is just iterate. Don't hold on to your ideas. Tell them to people. Don't hold on to the action. Just jump off the cliff and build your wings up. And we have the opportunity through Campus Party, through a variety of others, whether it's Montreal NewTech or Coopératon, to actually give it a shot, to do it in a safe zone, to do it in a safe space where diversity and inclusion are crucial for us at the core of our values, but also the support that we're providing is to accelerate you throughout Canada and connect you with every opportunity, or at least trying and developing this recipe for you to succeed and to succeed faster. So thank you very much. Thanks for your attention. Feel free if you have any questions, and please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out, because it's only by reaching out that we will be able to help you get your project moving forward. Thank you. Any question here? I don't know if we have time for maybe one question or something like that. No questions? Well, then if there are no questions, I will definitely continue my presentation for the next 5 hours. No, I'm just kidding. What I can tell you though is there are there are many, many other programs, and I could go on and on and on. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to go through all those programs. But if AI interests you, there is AI Launch Lab. It's a great program that helps get researchers, entrepreneurs, and startups collaborate together. It's working right now. There is also AI for tomorrow. It's an online AI program to help have social impact. And those are like just simple examples. There is the climate change AI hackathon coming up again in the fall that you can just like join and try. A hackathon is an amazing opportunity to just join, try, get your hands dirty, meet new people, increase your network, and hopefully help you move your ideas forward. There is also TechAid. It's a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that helps Centraide of Montreal in this case, where we bring technologists to help work with nonprofits. And finally, there is Pride Hacks, a queer tech-led hackathon to help nonprofits that are coming to support LGBTQ2+ communities. And there is more. There is much, much more, and I could go on and on and on. But for now, I'll leave you on that, and I wish you good luck in your endeavor. See you next time. Thank you very much.